And Shabbat Shalom and greetings to you all. Now, don't forget, we're in the week of International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Please light a candle, say a prayer, take a stand. Honor the horrible loss of the 6 million. Let's all stop it from happening again. It's more than 100 days now since the October 7th terror attack on Israel by a group supported the world over who have one goal and one goal only: the elimination and death of every Jew in the world. And more than 130 people are still held as hostages. These were not soldiers, but women, children, babies. There's no equivalent in history. And the silence is deafening, but it's okay. Because in Canada, the government is arresting reporters for asking questions they don't want to answer. I continue to ask what happened. But this is now the new normal. How is that acceptable by any stretch of the imagination? I fear for the descent of humanity. And when pressed, or to court voters, donors, consumers, governments and institutions state they want to fight anti-Semitism, but only by linking it with Islamophobia. I guess I've been living in a bubble. I've missed the senseless slaughter and protests and boycotts and calls for the death and destruction of all Muslims everywhere. Where have I been? This is now a failure of leadership not seen since the episode of The Spies in Numbers, which we'll be reading. Now, the great scholar Joshua Heschel once wrote, Hitler and his followers came to power not with machine guns, but with words. And they did so with a debased view of human beings rooted in contempt for God. How close are we to seeing this happen again? Have you noticed? Quite often during the first couple of weeks of January, which we're in now, when you speak with someone or email someone you haven't spoken to since last year, which is a whole 3 weeks ago now, they ask, how's your new year going? We are in a new year. Another new year. Another new day. Another new time. Another new way. But is it ever any different? Any different? I want to know. We are in another new year. How different is it? And in a few weeks, we see the change in year being celebrated in a world away, yet everywhere as we enter the year of the dragon, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we get closer. Now, I happen to know quite a few dragons. I'm even related to several. Who doesn't remember the original Snow White with that incredible dragon, or the great Eddie Murphy in the original Shrek? Dragons possess natural courage, tenacity, power, intelligence, often displaying enthusiasm, confidence. They've been portrayed in myth and magic with those traits. They're an auspicious and extraordinary creature, kind of like a unicorn, only more. Unparalleled in talent and excellence, the dragon symbolizes power, nobility, honor, luck, and success. Let's hope it brings all those things in that next year, because we're going to need it to perhaps keep this train from going off the rails. Now, only you can make your year any different. If every day of every year is the same, you've only lived one day. There's 365 days in a year. 365 opportunities for you to shine, to find your passion, to live your life as you want, as it was meant to be. Now, as if there's not enough to worry about, I see the World Economic Forum came up with plans on dealing with Disease X, which apparently hasn't been invented yet, at least as far as we've been told. My, how that Davos festival has changed since I was invited there many years ago. Then it actually seemed to seek solutions, or at least I naively believed, to real problems. But now it seems to spread panic and derision, and no one cares. It has become a playground for global elitists who have, over the years, extended beyond the boardrooms and houses of parliament. And that's a powerful group and control of more than people realize. They're not chaos from Get Smart or Spectre from James Bond, as some like to view them. Their influence is enormous, and the good they can do is immeasurable. Now, speaking of influence, did you get a chance to celebrate at all any part of Martin Luther King Day? A truly great man, a visionary, who 60 years ago said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. We were so close. But now we're back to emphasizing color and differences. We don't seek for people to be equal. I don't get it. Now, I was driving along the other day and a classic song from Rock and Rudolph came on, and the words of the great Gene Autry struck me, for those of you who still remember Gene Autry. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. He doesn't care if you're rich or poor, for me loves you just the same. Santa knows we're all God's children, that makes everything right. Fill your hearts with Christmas cheer, 'cause Santa Claus comes tonight. Now, while Santa never came to my house when I was young, and I chalk it up to the list I was on, I was struck by the emphasis on all being equal in the eyes of God. Even Santa knew we're all God's children. We are all God's children. Certainly to God, all are equal regardless of their language, sex, color. We relished the freedoms of choice, a right, not a privilege. And that was the world we might have been on the verge of. And I hope one day we see the likeness, the similarities, and not the differences, and freely choose to embrace unity. And there's no need for war and hate. They are ego-driven, and once again, they seem to dominate the resources of life. But not with us, because we are a like-minded group, a collective consciousness of seekers showing faith, any and all faith, love, any and all love, a true chavura, because we are a fellowship. So we express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes. It unites us all. This community house of spirit, Beth Ruach, sharing and bringing light, keeping fear at bay. Even though together we're individual in our approach, each connecting in his or her, or their own way. So once again, please do go ahead and invite everybody you know, physically, digitally, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, any way at all, to gather and share. From Psalm 133, the Hine Matov, come together. Hine Matov, how good, how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. Now we support each other in this community, so let's all spread love, goodwill, fellowship to the world. Remember, friends, this is your setting aside a little bit of sacred time in your sacred space to honor and converse with whoever, whatever you happen to believe in, because we all believe in something. It's part of your kavanah, your intention that you put out to the universe. It is your goodwill, and goodwill and intention are the roots of what you can control, of what you can correct. It is your intention. It sets in motion everything that occurs in your lives. So let's take some time now. Let's use that intention. Send some of that goodwill, some light, some healing out to whoever you know that needs it. Healing and renewal for everybody, because it floats through space, finding those in need. So send it out for those you know, for the souls and spirits of everybody you love. So think of whoever that needs healing and renewal and love, or just plain goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. It's not just for people, it's for our pets. It's for the earth. It is the healing of the world. Tikkun olam. It's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. Part of that healing of the world is when we send thoughts and energy for health and renewal and goodwill for everybody. They don't have to be sick. It's for those in our hearts and our minds. So let's all send energy out for the people in need everywhere. Special thoughts and prayers for those who need assistance, because we pray for those who need prayer. You don't have to know them. We want health, recovery, good life for everybody around us. For Joseph, for angelic Pam and Joel, for dear Sharon, whose birthday's coming up, for Amy and Frank, for Anne, for Terry and Joan, for Lindsay, for Pauline, for Alex and Ishtar, for Marie and John, for Shelley, Gloria, Doria, Teresa, for Johnny, for Fern, and for Carson and Paul, for Connie and Ronnie, for dear Snoopy, Kay, for Danny and Nina, for all those suffering and in need. Let's not forget to include the familiars of our lives, all our sacred animal friends. Everywhere. For everybody you know in need and for the whole world, for Rosemary. Friends, it is the kindness, the healing wishes, goodwill, and love we all send out. It just circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care. Because the world is a world of spirit. Spirit, my friends, never dies. Me, Shabbat. Bakor, may the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage. Make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body. The renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Mishaberach, let us all have our spirits renewed. This is the great prayer for healing, which we call upon God to heal as He's healed before. Mishaberach, may He be blessed, because all healing is a blessing. Let us all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. Now remember, I spoke of the three phases of Exodus being akin to an introduction, a climax, and a finale. This week's the final part of the introduction section we talked about. God began His introduction via the plagues last week. We saw 7, any one of which made a heck of an intro. This week, we read about the final 3 in Bo, come. And just as shalom means hello and goodbye, Bo means come and go, but not as opposites. So you may hear it in both instances. Exodus 10:1. And God said to Moses, come to Pharaoh, because I have made his heart and his servants' hearts heavy for the purpose of my setting these signs of mine among them. And for the purpose that you will tell in the ears of your son and your son's son about how I abused Egypt and about my signs that I set among them. And you will know I am the Lord. Pay attention to what God says. This is an announcement, part of his introduction. It's not a punishment for bad behavior, like we like to believe. It's not an end to slavery, like we like to believe. You almost have to feel for Pharaoh because his free will has been taken away. It is God who hardens his heart to prevent him from letting the people go. It just goes against everything we've thought. Now, these final plagues are brutal. Then we get the instructions for Passover and for the holiday of unleavened bread, which is what it really is called. Now, Passover was the most important holiday in the Torah. It is the festival of freedom. Freedom's not a long ago celebration, my friends, but it's an all-the-time one, which is why you are to celebrate Passover as if you were the one being freed, because it is you being freed. Freed now from whatever enslaves or confines you. And as we get closer to Passover, we'll talk more about it. Now, we've already survived blood. The life force of man, the one true forbidden food, his ki, his soul, his nefesh, his ruach, spirit, flows with blood. Frogs are a nuisance. They point to the warts of life. Lice are vermin, they're pests, they're bloodsuckers. Beasts, which were really swarming creatures, is the swarming mob that interferes with life and can sweep you up as a member or a victim. Pestilence was a livestock plague, which can affect the food chain, and therefore the survival of a nation. This is a true harbinger of death. Pestilence is a term that makes one cringe, like leprosy. It has social implications as well. If you have it, you're an outcast. Boils. Another disease, but not quite a repetition, because this disease is a visible disease. And visible differences, my friend, incubates discrimination. We see and we act on what we see. The last of last week's plagues was hail, but it wasn't normal hail. It was a mixture of fire and water. Well, the plague comes as a destroyer of crops. It means again, there is no food. And now Exodus 10:3. And Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh and said to him, the Lord God of the Hebrews said this, how long do you refuse to be humbled in front of me? Let my people go, so they may serve me. Because if you refuse to let my people go here, I'm bringing a locust swarm in your border tomorrow, and it will cover the eye of the land, and one won't be able to see the land, and it will eat the remains of what has survived that is left to you from the hail. It will eat every tree that is growing for you from the field. Okay, there'll be nothing left. Now, isn't that enough to say, okay, you win? You'd think. But that doesn't serve God's purpose. You see, it is God who keeps hardening Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh is now a slave to God. He is nothing but a tool. Now, the 8th plague was locusts. Arbe. Exodus 10:12. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that it may come up over the land of Egypt and consume all the grass of the land that the hail left behind. And it covered the eye of the land, and the land went dark. And it consumed all the grass of the land and every fruit of the tree that the hail had left, and nothing green in tree or in grass of the field was left in all the land of Egypt. Okay, so there's so many locusts, you couldn't see anything else. Now here we have another swarming creature. 2 of them in 10 plagues. Again, doubles. Doubles always tell you something. This warning is of the great danger of the swarming mass, my friends. And locusts contribute nothing. They're the worst kind of natural disaster, feeding off what others produced and produce nothing of their own. They only bring devastation. At this point, Egypt is really finished. No more food, no riches. Just devastation and starvation will be left. Did there really need to be 10 plagues? No. But 10 is that magic number. Pharaoh calls Moses and said, he sinned against God. Would Moses intercede on his behalf? Moses does. And the Lord turned back a very strong west wind, and it picked up the locust swarm and blew it to the Red Sea. Not one locust was left in all of Egypt's border. But it goes on. And God strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord said to Moses, reach out your hand at the skies, and let there be darkness on the land of Egypt, and one will feel the darkness. Hosheth, darkness. It was a palpable darkness. This 9th plague is another of those weighty plagues. It represents the undoing of creation. It's far more powerful than people realize. The first thing we saw created was light. Now that is going to be taken away with the plague of darkness. Such a darkness you cannot see the hand in front of your face. That level of darkness leaves you afraid to move. That level of darkness where light can't exist. This plague strikes at the third of the 3 of the Thanksgiving prayers we do every day. Drink and food have been struck. And now, candle lighting. And thanking God for giving us fire, light to see. Light conquers fear. When we see, we do not fear. So in so many ways, this plague is probably the most prevalent plague in people's lives. How many of us still live in darkness? What is it we refuse to see? Do you fear the light because it hurts your eyes? What can we each do to help bring more light to ourselves and to the world? You can certainly start by bringing it into your own life. And when you do, you help bring it into the lives of others. Shadows are falling. I've been here all day. It's too hot to sleep. The time is running away. Feel like my soul has turned into steel. Still got the scars that the sun didn't heal. There's not even room enough to be anywhere. not dark yet, but it's getting there. Now, not dark yet is probably the most Talmudic of all of Bob Dylan's songs. It's taken from the Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers. And you occasionally hear me refer to that great work, and there's plenty of translations out there. So if you get a chance, grab one, read it, enjoy what it says. But we're not quite finished. There's still one more. The final plague, a purposed mass execution. Death of the firstborn. Makat becharot. Exodus 11:1. And the Lord said to Moses, I'll bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he'll let you go from here. When he lets go completely, he'll drive you out from here. It goes so against what will be given as the sixth commandment forbidding murder, the intentional taking of life. That doesn't seem right. And Moses said, the Lord said this in the middle of the night, I am going out through Egypt. Notice, I am going out through Egypt. That's God himself. Now, later Jewish tradition, presumably unable to bear the thought of God personally passing through Egypt and causing the deaths, introduces the concept of the angel of death. But there is no such thing as an angel of death in the Bible. There's no prejudice in this. It's not random. It is targeted. Exodus 11:5. Every firstborn in the land of Egypt will die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh, who's sitting on the throne, to the firstborn of the maid who was behind the mill, and every firstborn of an animal. And this includes the Hebrews that are there too. It's all firstborn. And still, God will be in control. He will make this happen regardless. Exodus 11:9. God said to Moses, Pharaoh won't listen to you. In order to multiply my wonders in the land of Egypt, and the Lord strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the children of Israel go from his land. In life there are things that occur which we find distasteful, morally repugnant, unworthy of humanity. The Holocaust was one of those things. But there are other certain things that go against our moral compasses. We don't like them. We try to explain them away or come up with reasons for them. We don't like that the Egyptians would kill Abraham to get Sarah, so it's okay to lie. Except we know that actually never happened from what we read. We don't like Esau's nastiness, so we side with Jacob and overlook all the horrible things he does. Except there's nothing pointing to the negativity of Esau anywhere, only of Jacob. We don't like God doing the killing of the firstborn, so we make an angel of death. A little later on, we're not going to like Moses ordering the genocide of Moab and Midian, so we make them enemies, deserving of eradication. Who deserves to be eradicated? Do not go against your moral compasses, my friends. That is your true north. Now, this all is simply the introduction to the world and the preamble to God's great announcement at Sinai. The people will now leave, and God has determined a particular time and method for their leaving. Exodus 12:1. And God said to Moses and to Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month is the beginning of months for you. It is the first of the months of the year for you. So we now know that the year begins in the spring, as it should. And the people are to take a lamb, and this will be used for the Passover ritual. They will take some of the blood and place it on the two doorposts and on the lintel on the houses in which they will eat it. They will eat the meat in this night. They will eat it fire roasted and with unleavened bread on bitter herbs. That's it. That's the instructions for Passover. And I shall pass through the land of Egypt in this night, and I shall strike every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from human to animal, and I shall make judgments on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. And the blood will be as a sign for you on the houses in which you are, and I'll see the blood, and I shall halt at you. Pesach means halt, not Passover. God will stop when he sees the blood and move on to the next house. And this day will become a commemoration for you, and you shall celebrate it, a festival to God. You shall celebrate it through your generations, an eternal law. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Now the Hebrew term for the exodus from Egypt is Yetziat Mitzrayim, the going out from constraint. Friends, let us all Leave the land of constraint that still holds you. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace, for freedom, for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, we're a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this right together, men and women equally. So let's send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive, learn to love. Open your hearts, honor the relationships of your life, and tell those you love that you do love them. Examine your intentions. Use them to imprint your will on the universe, because we set in motion all that happens in our lives. It is our intention, our kavana, cause and effect. It's all linked. You always have time to forgive and be forgiven. You have the knowledge of what's good and bad. So acknowledge what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged. Ask forgiveness. But do so with sincerity, accountability, vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you. That you learn to be forgiving and compassionate, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, the world, just as they are? Can you accept life as it is, without trying to control it? Because if you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So keep on dreaming, my friends. Keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Find your passion. Do not follow fear. Follow love. It's always in front of you. And work to be present in the body. Expand your heart, quiet the mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in consciousness and the ability to be mindful, aware, present in all of life's circumstances. Love with the heart, because we are all part of a greater whole. There are no differences. Embrace love, not fear. Forgiveness, not anger, and be there for someone, because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. Continue to explore faith and belief and what they mean and only mean to you. Never accept shame as a natural state, because whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you've experienced, others have too, because we share together, we learn together. We help each other, because we are each of us simply trying to find love and acceptance and support. We all have or could have that special someone in our lives. So find them. Tell them what they mean. You're never alone on your journey. Keep forgiving those you need to forgive. Keep asking forgiveness from those you need to ask forgiveness of. Listen to the voice of God as he, she, it, them, they, whatever, talks to you. And if nothing else, step out of the darkness, which just imprisons us all, and come back into the light. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping lifted secrets while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my mind still remains of silence. Now, thank you for joining me, my friend. Shabbat Shalom. Blessings to you all. Take care, and I'll see you real soon.